And I did it in that way, Dawn, not for you, but I feel like God gives us opportunities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're not for us to hoard them. And so that was a critical time in my life, but so is the country.
Right.
And that article was so kind. I think it was entitled Triumph to, Challenges or something to Triumph. And you can't show people all the good. You do so much good in this community. You do so many things to impact lives. Your profession is helping people navigate the challenges of calamity, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can't do that without leaving out the valley times.
Right.
We got to let people know we're human,
Mm-hmm.
and in order for them to be the best versions of themselves, how we navigate life.
Yeah.
And so that was my way of sharing that with people. And now, a year later, saying it's not a death sentence. We can do this. We have to be intentional about it.
Right.
And for me, it's advocating, it's being kind to myself, it's being what we're doing this weekend, taking
Right.
some care, putting myself on the calendar. So this last year, as passionate as I am about all the things that I do and we do, the good trouble, because it's all good
It's
stuff.
all good stuff.
It is all good stuff, but it's stuff that we have to be intentional about managing and
Mm-hmm.
putting ourselves in on the calendar,
Right.
because if I can't fill my own cup,
Exactly.
I can't pour out of it. We
That's
have
it.
to fill our cups and
Exactly.
put our own mask on first. So we say that, but do we do it for ourselves? Oh, we'll get sleep tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if I had to tell women, it's being intentional, but it's also hearing your body, because
Right.
your body will give you some
It,
warning signs, whatever they are. Heart speeding up just a little bit unexpectedly, swelling in the
yeah.
ankles, up behind the knees, and I'm telling my doctor, I think I may have a aneurysm, or I might. And
Because
he's
we
like,
both borderline
yeah,
hypochondriacs,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And he's like, no, yeah, I think that may be a little fat. That's not kind. It's true, but it's not kind.
Right.
So, we have to be intentional about what we do. But if we're role modeling,
Mm-hmm.
which we are,
Care.
then we have to let all of the runs in the stocking show.
Right.
And so that's important too. That is important to being honest with ourselves and with
Exactly.
others.
Now I'm gonna get back to how you delivered the news, but I do want to break down a little bit just the amount of testing. So you have a regular mammogram,
Mhm.
right? That's one level. Then you have 3D mammograms, which is a situation that I was in when I started having mammograms on a regular basis. Took the first one and they said, oh, we need to come back. And I think they call it incomplete. And then when they do, they say, well, this time we need to do a 3D because you have dense breasts. I'm like, okay. I mean, the first time that happens is a little jarring. And then the second year I go to get, and it comes back and like, oh, it's fine. Everything's good. Then the second year I go for the mammogram, I get a regular. And they call you and say, oh, it's incomplete. And I'm like, again? So then they're like, oh, we need to do a 3D. So then they allowed the 3D to be my standard of care. So now I go in for 3Ds. Now, after the 3D, this last time I went in, all they said was it was incomplete. And I'm like, no, we're doing the 3D. So what do you mean this is incomplete? So then I go to the radiology place, and now it's a different location. And I'm going, okay, what's this about? And it's not until I arrive that they say, well, actually, we saw something and we just want to do some additional testing to identify it. So I'm like, okay. So then that's when I started texting y'all, like, okay, y'all, I'm about to have some additional testing, so I need prayers to go up. And unfortunately, it came back and they said, and to your point, I think now you start to ask the questions about, okay, what is all of this? And it came back that, oh, well, you had not only have dense tissue, but it was overlapping and it was casting some sort of a shadow. And that's what we saw, but we just wanted to make sure. But then you go, but was it? Like, so then I hear you in my head and everything that you had gone through, and you were immediately said, okay, let's talk. And so then it's a matter of understanding. Number one, you pointed something out that it's someone with their eyes looking at an x-ray and based on their skills, experience, and expertise, making a judgment about what they see. I mean, to me, I'm like, no, no, I need like some red flags to go off, like there be something. But I think when I realized that it was literally someone's naked eye looking at something, and you have to rely on their expertise, their experience, all the things, that feels a little uncomfortable about confidence that, okay, well, was it a shadow? Like, how do you know? So,
Donna, I think you're going down you're going down the road that we have to balance
mhm,
in life,
right.
right? We're both very spiritual.
Mhm.
So this is a safe space. So what I'm going to say is God would not give us the spirit of fear,
Right,
but also he's made us to be pretty astute,
right,
and we have to ask the right questions. So perhaps because we have these fibrous breasts, again, not to be confused with large breasts,
right,
just dense tissue that mask potential small, minute. My cancer was so small, it would not have been caught, like I say, on self breast exam. And depending on what type of imaging, may not have been detected.
and that's the other question.
Right.
Because
Not
in our conversation, you
yeah,
helped me understand that there's different quality
all
of
imaging isn't
imaging
the same,
equipment.
right? And so for me, again, we can't have the spirit of fear, but what we can do, especially if we have, and I want to come back to proper insurance
Right,
or we have insurance in place, we need to advocate even with insurance companies, not just our medical providers, but we
right,
may have to write our own letters to the insurance company and say, this is what standard care for me looks like.
right,
And so I'm going to look for the best care possible. And so in that moment, I said to myself, I now need a better level, a higher level of care.
mhm,
And that's why I took my care to Mayo. And even in doing that, I didn't conceive the fact that these are doctors that have seen maybe thousands of cases versus 100 cases,
right, right,
right?
right,
So you now have someone that's trained and that's all they do.
right.
That's a little
That's
different
an
skill.
expert.
That's an expert,
Mhm.
right? So now this is my second opinion, but within that
Mm,
organization, you have third opinions, fourth opinions, fifth. So now and then layering that with maybe it's not every 12 months I need to do something. Maybe for me, it's every 6 months. So maybe we stagger that mammography or that diagnostic scan with an MRI 6 months later.
right,
So now we're looking, and if there's any concern, we're now referring me for more workup.
right.
Again, not out of a spirit of fear, but out of a spirit of, I want to be well.
And being
But
proactive
I'm being
and
proactive.
intuitive.
I'm being intuitive. I'm asking questions. I'm taking my health care into my own hands.
Exactly.
And I want to come back to the insurance companies and the part they play. This should be the standard for everybody. Let's be clear. We, in this country of America that we love,
Mhm.
we should all be privy to good, solid health care,
Right.
period.
Mhm.
So it's incumbent upon women like us
Mhm.
who have voice
Right.
and platform
Mm-hmm.
to advocate for all of us, all of us, and especially women of color that sometimes put ourselves last.
Right.
And we're pretty blessed.
Yeah.
But we put ourselves last, and we cannot do that. We cannot do that. And what that means is we must ask the questions, we must show up, we must go with a friend, we must challenge our friends and say, okay, well, tell me about that. Well, just because we were in a pandemic, you mean you didn't go get your test for 3
Right,
years?
right,
Let's talk about that.
right.
That we can't do
Because
that.
we have friends doing that.
We do have friends
Right.
doing that.
And that's why I think the campaigns are good because I wore a really bright pink suit. And during the month of October, breast cancer awareness, and people would go, "Oh, that's a pretty pink suit." And I would go, "Did you get your mammogram?" It
Mhm.
triggered me to ask the
Mhm.
question.
Mhm.
So I think all of those things are good and important, but I want to make sure that people understand all the different avenues because you have the regular mammogram, you have the
Mhm.
3D,
Mhm.
then you have the ultrasound
Mhm. And the MRI.
and the MRI.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's usually in that order
Mhm.
based on them seeing something and diving a little bit deeper.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then the biopsy comes if they find something and
Mhm.
then they need to test it.
And let's talk about the difference again.
Okay.
I'm not a doctor,
Mhm.
but that first biopsy that I had in 2022, remember it well, there were calcifications, right? Not a
And did they
mass.
tell you what that meant?
Calcifications are, I don't want to misspeak, but what I processed were they are like a mole. A mole can just be a mole, but then there are moles that turn into cancerous
Okay.
moles. So for me, when they told me I had the calcifications, which were benign, I still want to watch those calcifications because they
Right.
can start
Me too.
forming differently. And I was able last year to see mine. They actually let me see it, and I saw for myself. So before the radiologist lab came back, I already
Mhm.
knew I had breast cancer.
Mm.
I saw the way they looked. They didn't
Mm.
look normal, the way they were configured.
Okay.
So you can train your own self if you look at it enough. And
Right.
and
And so
so
should we ask to see our
I would.
okay.
I want to see it.
Yeah.
I mean, but unfortunately, Don, there's some people who say if I don't know, I don't want to know. I don't
Mhm.
want, it's not real if I don't know. And we got to get out of that too.
Yeah.
Because just because you don't find out, you think something's wrong, but you don't go to the doctor, or you take the medicine to make your blood pressure better, but you know you're still eating the things that aren't good for
Right.
you,
Right.
you're masking.
Because you don't want to
You
hear
don't
the
want to.
fact that you got to change something.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right. Or we're too busy
Mhm.
to deal with that right now. Deal with that later.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be here to deal with it later, and your family's not going to have you here. So we got to be proactive. You said that earlier.
Mhm.
That's key. Being
Yeah.
proactive is key.